2022 really almost over? Child, I'm still recovering from 2019 and 2020. Can I please get a recap on 2022? And once you give it to me, what am I supposed to do with yet another traumatic year? What are the takeaways I'm supposed to get? Well, I'm glad you asked because we are talking about it after the break.
Brokers, welcome to another episode of Brokers, where we talk about the unbelievable ish this country has done to keep us broke. Now here are your hosts, Amber and Erika.
Hey everyone, I'm Amber.
And I'm Erika.
And today on Brokish, y'all, we are looking back at the year of our Lord 2022. We're looking at the highs, the lows, the in-betweens, but most importantly, we are looking at what we can learn from 2022. What are the lessons that it has taught us about this brokish space we live in? And what are the gems we can mine to move forward into 2023 with a renewed effort to fight the good fight and to keep doing the work? Erika, why are you looking like that? We're supposed to be encouraging the people. Don't do that.
Because, Amber, I'm trying to see you, but you look blurry to me. The low for me is always your internet and your camera and how you look on screen.
So you're not about to hurt my feelings, and the people on the internet are not about to break my soul. I'm Beyonce. And y'all are not about to break my soul and hurt my feelings about my damn internet and my damn computer because I got 50 kids. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm not finna buy another one right now, okay? Y'all know my baby daddy don't pay child support, and I'm doing the best I can, okay?
All I'm saying is because we are the group, okay? All I'm saying, we are grouped together. And I'm the one, it's not going to help. Stop it. Get back on screen.
I'm trying. Shit, I don't even know what I did. Lord have mercy.
I'm the one who has to deal with the people in the comments talking about, y'all know we kind of like Brokish, but their production quality is so bad, we can't even make it through the show. Now, I do want to tell these people a lot of times that Brokish started off as a podcast, and they can always listen to us without having to look at us, and then it ain't no problem. But I know people like visuals, people like YouTube, and Amber, we got to give the people what they want. Okay, so I hope for 2023, as we're planning, that we plan it for Santa Claus to bring your broke ass some new tools for the people can see you clearly.
I'm sorry, Erika. I don't have a production studio in my house. Okay, Dr. Dre Isha. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna work on it, y'all. I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna try to scrape some coins together and get a new computer. I can't do nothing about the internet. It's raggedy. Y'all know I live in the sticks. I'm doing the best I can. So pray for me like I pray for you. Okay?
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Thank you.
I'm gonna keep taking the hits because we're a team. So it's fine.
Okay, well, tell them I fight, okay? Because she don't fight. I fight. So you don't have to let her take the hits. Email me, at me. If you got a problem with my internet and my computer, at me. Okay?
You don't give the people your ad, so they can't. But anyway, it's fine. It's fine. So I see you're looking very festive. You have on your holiday, your Christmas sweater, this beautiful Black woman with her Afro puff. Is that like a big puff? Is it Afro puffs? I can't really tell,
It is, so wow.
Describe it to me.
It's the shade for me. Sis has an Afro with the Santa hat on.
Okay? Oh, okay.
Yes.
I love it. And slay all day.
Slay all day. With or without good quality internet and a computer, okay?
Okay, just do the best with what you have.
Thank you.
Yes, that's what we do in a brokish world. That's what we doing every day. Isn't that the moral of the story, right?
Amen. Amen.
That's really what we saying is we know that this world, this economy, this nation, it's all messed up. We all doing the best we can. Let's offer some grace.
Thank y'all. I'm gonna get a new computer, okay? I'm gonna get a new computer.
I'm just saying, before you put your next order in to Indonesia or Thailand or wherever the wigs come from, I'm just saying, if you could just go down to the Best Buy and get you some things from the Best Buy. That's all I'm saying.
I'm so offended right now, but I will try.
And then I think you just like dimmed in real time. Like
I did. It's the sun, y'all. My ring light. The last time I used the ring light, I looked like I had tan and tang. and I looked like I was trying to be like Donald Trump. Like I looked orange, and
Okay.
I wasn't
Okay,
able to
let's get
continue.
past it. Let's get past it. We're looking
Thank you, because y'all
we're
didn't have to
gonna
do me like that.
I, I'm just yeah, yeah. It's hard being in a relationship because you do have to take the blows, take all of that from the people you're in a relationship with. But it's okay because I love you, Amber. So regardless what they say, I'm with you.
Thank you. I love you too.
So y'all, can I be a little bit transparent? I'm gonna be a little bit transparent here. Um, as some of you may know, I recently started my PhD journey. Is that what people say when they go to school?
Yes,
Any-
Professor Wayne. That's what they say.
anyway, basically, Erica started going to school, and Erica's been in her classes, getting a little busy, and it's the end of the semester, and I've wanted the semester to be over since Thanksgiving. Okay, so that's where I am. I've been checked out since then. And honestly, y'all, I think I really feel like this episode is going to reflect that because I'm just tired and I really just appreciate some of my professors who are like, it's the end of the semester. We're just going to do some easy work. Y'all know I'm normally not that chick. That's Amber that likes to, easy work. eh, Don't want folks to really learn nothing. That's her. Right. So I am taking a page out of Amber's book. And this episode, do you know what my kids call that? They call it pew pew. They never say the word. They go, and somebody had a pew pew. Anyway, so y'all did for those of y'all who are original brokers, right? Who are on podcasts and networks listening to
That is
us.
hilarious.
Amber put up her pew pew
Pop,
fingers and
pop, pop.
like my children say. So this episode is really us looking back, and you are, I think, going to get some insight into just how different we are, how much we don't agree on so many different things. So,
But that's
Miss
not the
Amber,
only takeaway. I think, in all
no,
fairness, we have been living through so much layered trauma, so much craziness and insanity that we are conditioned to just go from one thing to the next. You just go from one,
yes,
crazy incident to the next, one insane thing to the next. And I think it is important to pause and reflect on what has occurred, because otherwise we will stay in this cycle of madness if we are not cognizant to pause and try to be mindful of what we should be learning in these moments in time. So I think it's important to look back. I was the one who pushed for this episode because, I mean, it's like, Lord, we can't have no more crazy years. Like, I need to go besides the still waters in the green pastures, okay? Because I've been at the top of the roller coaster going down and up and down since 2019, and I need a break.
yes. And I agree with you about stopping to reflect. But I guess the thing for me is that there is no end to this for
True.
us on this roller coaster. This roller coaster is a lifelong ride. But it is important for us to stop and just say, wow, we've been through a lot and let's
Yeah.
talk about it. So,
Yeah. So, in the vein of doing that, unfortunately, 2022 started off like so many other years in the United States with Black death, police violence, state sanctioned violence. We started the year with the death of Amir Locke in February of 2022. On February 2nd, you had a young 22-year-old brother in Minneapolis in his apartment sleeping. The Minneapolis Police Department were attempting to serve a no knock warrant. They were looking for two of his cousins in relation to a homicide investigation that everybody agreed Amir had nothing to do with. And they, according to the police, announced themselves, but nobody else in the apartment complex miraculously heard it. Um, they went into his apartment, and while he was still wrapped in his comforter, waking up from the shock and surprise of seeing armed people in his home, he was shot and killed. And of course, like so much Black death in this country, the police officers responsible for Amir's death were not indicted. They were not charged. In April of 2022, the Minneapolis District Attorney's Office announced that no charges would be brought against the officers. And but for the people on the ground, screaming out in indignation that these police were getting away with murder. But for that, the family would have had no accountability. Ultimately, of course, there was a civil settlement, but to this day, there have been no criminal charges.
So, a couple things, Amber, about what you were saying. This morning, I happened to be listening on Black Power Media, which y'all know we're on Black Power Media because if you're watching us there. I was listening to I Mix What I Like, so Jared Ball's show, and he had a guest. You'll have to forgive me because I was in between taking my kids to school, so I didn't catch his name. But anyway, he's from Minneapolis, and he was talking about his work basically in the community and sort of as a community activist, but also working as it relates to like Second Amendment rights and gun training and, sort of helping to arm Black people who wish to be armed and teaching them all about that. But he was talking about how in Minneapolis and some of his work, this notion of this term riots work. Because in Minneapolis, they have had their own set of riots, whether it was Amir Locke, whether it was George Floyd, and us recognizing as a people, and one of the things he pointed out and others point out all the time is that many of the gains that we've made in this nation have come about not because people were like, kumbaya, let's get together, but talking about the fact that sometimes you just got to get out in the streets. But anyway, to bring this back around to Minneapolis, it made me think of that. But then it also made me think about how awful it is that this same city that oversaw the execution of George Floyd and then, the trials of all of the officers who are
Right.
coming out. And I think actually one of those officers just got sentenced today for 3.5 years is what I want to say. I think one of the three officers just got sentenced today. But anyway, it's like George Floyd's death in many ways didn't mean a thing because we see how all of the promises that corporations made, that cities made, that police departments made about what they were going to do, they didn't do. And so for Amir Locke to have been murdered in Minneapolis is just par for the course. It makes sense that this would be the city where you have, all of these protests and you're getting this worldwide attention. And then here you go a couple years later and y'all still on that same, you know. So I just, with respect to this, my heart continues to break because none of it matters. And
Yeah.
so there's visibility, people talk about it, people are righteously indignant, they're outraged. And then it's like we just go back to the status quo. So a
Yeah.
part of
It's a
me is very
fad.
defeated. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
super defeated.
Yeah. 100%. I totally get what you're saying. And I think it's especially true when you factor in the corporate hoopla, all of the pledges, all of the money. And now that issue is over. Okay.
And not only that, there's some people are taking it back. Like
Yes.
what university was that said, "Oh, we pledged to have like they started all these DEI networks and they said they were going to do that and then like, "Oh, we're not going to do that anymore." I can't remember what school it was, but
I mean, every third corporation, like there's so much money. We're pledging, we're reorienting. I mean, honestly, it is hard not to be defeated, but it is encouraging to know that within our community there is still enough of a remnant of people who are not willing to let our brothers and sisters die in vain. If I take
yes.
my hope in anything, I take my hope in that. I take my hope in the fact that there are people who have enough outrage to get out into the street, to blow
Always.
stuff up until justice, as much of it as we can have here, is done. And so I am glad that Amir Locke was not made a dirty secret. I am glad that his death was made public and that there was an outcry and that his family was able to at least get civil justice because so many people, they don't get nothing. They get nothing.
They don't. I guess it's just because the only kind of, and I'm going to just use the word justice because you did, the only kind of justice that gets meted out is financial, right? Like the only thing that this country is ever good at is writing a check when they want to, right? Like they don't want to write the checks we want them to write all the time, but it's like y'all love throwing money at a problem or not. And that part is just so hard too, because it's like, yes, we are absolutely going to admit that a bad thing happened. It was our fault. We were going on record saying it was our fault.
Yep.
But still, we're not going to make any changes to our policies, to our
Yep.
personnel, like none of that. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
So anyway, what I want to tell you guys is if you're looking for three things you can do where you are, you need to be advocating to the people who represent you and your state level and your federal level to be pushing for an end to qualified immunity, because qualified immunity is why so many people do not get civil justice, right? Because qualified immunity says basically that when police officers who are agents of the state are acting within the course and scope of that agency, that they are immune from any recourse for their conduct. You also need to be advocating on a local level in your local police offices that there be an end to no knock warrants because they are dangerous, particularly in stand your ground states, places like Florida, Texas, where Erika and I are. I mean, if somebody come in your house and they don't announce, and you think that you are being accosted, and you exercise your
Pew
right
pew.
to pew pew, the police can use that as a justification to pew pew back at you. Okay, and of course, marginalized people, Black people, people of color are disproportionately affected by this. So you need to be advocating for that. And also, we need to be advocating for civilian oversight of police involved violence. Why are the police policing the police? Why?
Amber.
Why?
Okay. I just civilian oversight of the police is like, what is that even?
Well, first
Like
of all,
I just don't know how, what does that do?
well, you're right. So I'm talking about what we can do now while we have it. Like we are pro burn this shit down. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand that. But while we here, what we can do to try to make it a little better is advocate for civilian oversight, because a lot of times what happens now, listen, that's got its own set of problems. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Again, we are pro burn this shit down. But until we get there, the best option is for people who are not a part of the fraternity to be policing what the fraternity does
But
and the wrongness and the rightness.
they be the ones that put the people on the civilian boards though. They
But
pick
that's
the
that's what
people.
I'm saying. That's why I'm saying we need to get involved, because a lot of the people on there are people who are serving for their own ambition, who are proximate to power because they have their own agendas. So we need to get people who are willing to get out in the street, who raise their hand and say, I know this some bull crap, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna try to I'm gonna try to go with you on that. And then you talk about, you know, reaching out to the people who represent you. And in our case is that Senator Ted Cruz. Like some of this stuff, Amber, is not you can't be serious when you telling me to do it.
Yeah,
Like
but
you think Ted Cruz,
everybody don't live in Texas, you know? Everybody don't live in Texas. So
they don't.
even if you don't reach out to Ted Cruz, there are some of our friends who live in the same metroplex with us who have state senators and who have United States representatives who are not Ted Cruz and who are not whack ass John Cornyn, who understand the significance of ending qualified immunity. So again, when you're talking about working within the system, you're already talking about limited options because the system ain't broken. It's working exactly the way it's designed to work.
True that.
So
Okay.
now we need something to make Erika feel better. So let's make Erika feel better, y'all.
Always.
Because then we got a little bit of Black woman joy because the patron saint of Black womanhood graced us with her presence
Ah!
at the Super Bowl. We had the boots, we had the sparkle, we had the razzle dazzle, we had the custom kick, okay, the signature kick. Queen Mary J. Blige performed at the Super Bowl and gave me all my life because I love Murray. I do. I love Murray. I can't.
You know what, Amber? I have seen Mary J. Blige in concert probably no less than 10 times. I'm not even like exaggerating, right? Like because
Really?
I'm a concert goer anyway, and she's just been in a lot of Essence festivals,
Yes, yes.
right? Okay. And I love Mary. When you go to Mary's show, she's always going to give you a sermon. So for anybody who goes to church after that, I'm like, this counts. I'm not going to church this week. I got my sermon from Mary J. Blige. But you know what I feel like? I feel like I get so sad because I just, again, I think people are looking for Mary's pain. And that part is sad and hard because I feel like she gives so much to the people. Like she's been giving me so much since 1990 and 3. And I do wish there was more that I could do for Mary. Not that Mary needs me, but I'm just sad for her sometimes.
I do get that because Mary has profited off her pain for sure. But I will say it's nice to see Mary winning. Mary look good. Mary don't look like what she been through. Mary look good. Mary out here
She
on
does.
Mary looking good. Mary on power. Okay, Mary out here on tour. 50 years old, looking better than me and everybody else born in the 80s and the 90s. So, yes, as much as Mary profits off her pain, I think she is sort of that emblematic representation of everybody
It ain't
loves a good,
over.
it ain't over, and everybody loves a good comeback story. And so, of all the people in the world, if you ask me, like, who is somebody you love to see winning, Mary gonna be at the top of my list every time you ask me because I love to see Mary winning. So,
So just because I'm a messy bee, and I can't help myself. So who else was at the Super Bowl with Mary though, Amber? Who else
oh,
was there?
woman beating ass, Dr. Dre.
Okay, okay. So here we go again with everybody's favorite Sean Carter and his, partnership with the NFL. And, he just couldn't give us the goodness of Mary J. Blige. He had to do some other things too. So yeah. Mhm.
And listen, let me just
Yes.
tell you something though. Again, this is one of the nuggets, unfortunately, that we take away from what 2022 teaches us, which is that everybody in these whole United States, black men included, is going to go around the mulberry bush, up the hill, over the mountain, through the meadow to erase black women's pain. Because at this point, D. Barnes has been completely vindicated. That lady got called a liar for decades. And now that she has been vindicated, and no, we
I
can
didn't know
know.
she had been vindicated.
Yes, there have
I didn't
been
know.
people. There have been people who basically said, "Yes, we seen this
That
Negro."
ain't vindication.
Okay, but corroboration. Let me use a better word. Her account has been corroborated.
Okay.
And I do think that now that there is some, because at first it was just like it didn't happen. And I think now that it's harder to say it didn't happen, now we just move to, well, it happened so long ago. So we just not going to talk about
So we treat him like they doing Jerry Jones,
it.
because
Yes,
Jerry
yes,
Jones showing up at the rallies and people like
yes,
he was just a teenager.
yes. He just happened to stumble upon some violent white men and were like, hark, what are they doing? And I'm like, boy, child, please. Child, please.
Okay.
But I'm happy for Mary though.
Yes, I'm always happy for Mary. Side note, when I turned 40, I was in Aruba. They have this music festival in Aruba. So me and some friends of mine, my husband, we go out to Aruba. And headlining the show were Usher and Mary J. Blige. So
Ooh.
Amber, we got great seats, and she was like 15 feet away. And so I have seen Mary, like I said, I've seen her a lot, but I've especially seen her. She was singing to me on my birthday, up close in person. Not really, but in my mind, that's what was
Listen,
happening.
sis,
Yeah.
okay. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you.
Now, Amber, I think this next thing that happened is probably going to be another area where you and I disagree. Surprise.
Really?
Spoiler alert.
Okay. So y'all, the next thing is Russia invading the Ukraine. Excuse me,
Mhm.
Ukraine, not the Ukraine, because we don't want to peddle.
We black. It's
Yeah, but
Kroger's. It's the
okay.
Ukraine.
But
No.
we don't want to peddle in colonialism while we talking against colonialism. So let me just say it's Ukraine, just to correct myself. Okay,
Okay.
so what we disagree about? I mean, do we disagree about the fact that Russia ain't shit? Because I didn't think we disagreed about that.
We don't disagree about that, but we disagree about the Ukraine also ain't shit.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
fair enough. But on this day, the Lord made in February, Ukraine was minding their business.
See, this is where we don't agree. So I think for me, a lot of this, I don't know, conflict, I don't know what else to call it, is a lot of it stems from the fact that Russia has been very clear, like certain things we want certain things to happen in the world. Y'all leave us alone. Let us do what we want to do, and it ain't gonna be no problem. And then when somebody like flexes a little bit on that, then I think they get mad that Russia responds. But it's like Russia has been clear with y'all. They don't want to be a part of y'all's project. And so don't flex on them if you don't want them to pew pew.
But
So,
they pew because Ukraine took a meeting with NATO. Like that ain't got nothing to do with you.
but Amber, Ukraine should not even be a candidate to be in NATO. Like that whole NATO project is a flawed one.
Hundred
Like,
percent. But that ain't Russia's business.
but it is if you're my neighbor and you try to flex on me.
I mean, I guess y'all. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, though, I feel like we probably you right. We ain't gonna agree on that because I also think like I'm not gonna have a house next to the Bloods and the Crips, and I'm watching everybody arm themselves around me, and I know all I got in my house is some plastic knives and some first grade scissors, and then I ain't gonna do nothing like. And that's not really me flexing on you. That's me recognizing that when you start pew pewing, like my grandma used to say, baby bullets ain't got no name on them. Okay, like you know, listen, I just don't think somebody
Bottom line is
saying we out
this.
here unprotected and we need an alliance is a flex. I mean, it's like ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. This ain't got nothing to do with you. Like,
This how I know that the conflict in the Ukraine is, and look, let me be again, I want to be very clear with all my disclaimers just for anybody listening, watching. I am not a fan of Putin, of his politics. I'm not a fan of what I see are the human rights abuses that happen in Russia, all of those things, right? Just like I'm not a fan of those things happening here, right? In the United States.
facts,
I'm not a fan of the
facts,
United States politics. I'm not a fan of the human rights violations that happen here in this nation. Not at all.
facts.
What I will say is when I saw Ukraine's president Zelensky, and I see him, and he's always asking for arms. And he's not asking from what I have seen, right? So, this flawed press that's showing me these things, I see him asking not for humanitarian aid for his people. I hear him asking for weapons. And so, in my mind, what I see happening is what happens everywhere with the United States is the United States wants to be involved in everybody's business, and you're my friend. And while you're my friend, I'm going to heavily arm you because I want you to fight my enemies for me.
Hmm.
Okay. And then we go on, and then times change, and I have armed you, but now you are not my friend any longer. And
Yeah.
so now I have a new problem, but you have all these arms that, oh my God, I gave to you, but I'm going to try to act like I don't know where they came from. And so that's the part, like America and her messy self going around destabilizing countries, destabilizing areas of the world, arming them, and then looking around like, I don't know what's happening. And that's the part that I can't get on board with. So, I mean, yeah.
Okay, we agree on that. I also think that yes, the big takeaways are settler colonialism ain't ish, right? Also that we see that the neo-fascism and the nationalism we propagate here, it reverberates throughout the world.
And it's in
We
Ukraine and it's in
Yes,
Russia.
yes, yes, yes. And this stuff, it all builds on each other. There is literally a straight line between anti-blackness and police violence and settler colonialism and the destabilization that we actively partake in around the world. So yes, I think that is a takeaway that we can all agree with. And I think that the very intentional ways that the media tries to make these separate issues to encourage people to disengage, like, oh, that's happening over there, or that's a over there problem, or there. No, these are all entangled together. And if you don't knock one of the dominoes down, you're not going to knock any of them down. So,
And if I think about too, similar to what happened, it's similar, but of course different to what happened with the momentum around George Floyd's death, right? When the conflict started, there's always everybody has this blue and yellow flag waving. My local city, y'all, people can't point out Ukraine on the map. We didn't change, they didn't change the Twitter page. They didn't say we stand with Ukraine, and everybody want to, where can I send my clothes? Where can I do all this? And there's all of this fake activism around this because these are white people. These are white people in a conflict. And oh my God. And honestly, in a lot of ways, I'm like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what? Like in a lot of ways, I'm like, you white people figure that out. Like, it's there are wars actively happening all over the world. Uh, don't nobody care about the Palestinians? Never, no way, ever. But all the time,
Haiti.
look, everywhere there are black people, everywhere there are brown people, there is some conflict around the world, and don't nobody have to say, but the white people get invaded upon, and now everybody got a blue and yellow flag.
I
Stop
mean,
it.
yes, I do agree that we have a selective collective humanity. Yes, 100%. And I think that is a very hard pill for Black people to swallow because we see y'all just completely overlooking the violence and the tragedy that befalls us. So, yes, I 100% agree that selective outrage is real. But of course, it's real because the conqueror writes the narrative. So, I mean, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so for me, I think the war in Ukraine, I'm like, there is a war in Ukraine. There are legitimately people who have died, who will die. That war is never a nice thing, right? But I don't think that Ukraine should be in NATO. I think that's a ridiculous notion. I think people in general need to start minding more of their own business, whether that's people at the Walmart or on the international stage, and I just do.
Okay, I receive all. I received that. I received that. Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of the straight line, because the next thing we go to is
Wow.
we go from settler
Bad jokes.
colonialism and anti-blackness. No, the straight line into transphobia. Okay, because it's all related. Like these things are all built on each other, and so of course, you know, the Hoteps joined with the Snow Tips in May of this year to all decide to come together and express collective outrage. Now, people that probably ain't never bought a ticket to a female sporting event, ain't never supported a female athlete, all of a sudden are so concerned about people who are biologically born women being oppressed and disadvantaged by trans women competing in women's sports. So when Leah Thomas, who was competing with the University of Pennsylvania, won the Division I NCAA title in swimming, all the outraged girl dads who was hashtagging when Kobe passed away, now all of a sudden, join together with their Snowtep brethren to talk about how trans women are somehow not women. And it's like, y'all, ugh, ugh.
Well, so the thing that really makes me mad about these stories that are related to trans women, usually it's trans women, but these stories make me mad because those people who you're talking about actually organize themselves, and they organize themselves to lobby for legislation to actively work against trans life. And so we've seen that here in Texas with the laws about people who want to have gender confirming medicine or healthcare, and being denied that because of legislation that happens. So it would be, it would almost be a good thing, right, if this were just about the sports world and about people saying, oh my god, she's not really a woman, she should not be competing with other women, blah blah blah. Like if it were just that, it would almost be palatable. But because these people get organized, that shit is real, because then you have people's lives on the line. And that
Yeah,
to me is the really nasty part of the story.
yeah. And I think what also is so interesting is that all of these people muster up this outrage, and they're so concerned about women, allegedly. And then you watch these people organize to do things that literally imperil women, because of
Mhm.
course we'll talk about later, Roe versus Wade. And even when we look at, for example, the Human Rights Campaign noted that violence against trans people has been on the rise since 2020. but oftentimes transphobic violence is some of the least investigated, least pursued cases. They're not amplified, they're not investigated by local police and investigative agencies. And all these people who are so outraged about a woman swimming, yet you clearly don't care about women. You don't care about women's health.
Well, Amber, you know they don't believe they're women. So that's the whole
No,
like,
no, no, but this is supposed to be in defense of biologically born women, though, right? So, it's like you don't care about women's access to health. You don't care about violence against women. You don't care about women. This is just really your way to have some respectable transphobia that is harder for people to identify as transphobia because you are masking it behind care and concern for women, even though there's no science and no medicine that suggests that a trans woman has any more advantage in athletics or in any other physical thing than a biologically born woman. And so I don't know. I'm like, child, take your outrage and go on somewhere. Go on somewhere.
yeah, and I will be like going on somewhere, but where they go is to the state houses.
Well, you ain't
And
lying about that.
that's the bullshit. Is that's where they go and organize, and then you have actual trans people who cannot be who they want to be because of somebody just not wanting. Back to the story of more people minding their own damn business. Back
And
to that.
not only that, also this also offers an opportunity, particularly for us as Black people. I think there is a lot of unpacking we have to do around the casual homophobia and
Are you getting
transphobia.
darker again in real time, Amber?
Girl, I don't.
Amber,
Now
thank
I'm
you.
orange. I'm
You
orange
not,
now.
but we can see you.
Okay, fine. I'm orange. But anyway, we need to interrogate the casual homophobia and transphobia that a lot of us have been born around, grown up around, that has
Sure.
been instilled into us in our theology, in our culture, because this really is a group project. Like we talk about this a lot. Like this whole survival thing, it's a group project. It is a group
It
project.
it is.
So none of us can survive if some of us perish. Period.
Amen to that. And the only other thing I'll say is absolutely think that we need to do that because this group project with us Black people, yes. I just want it to be said though, I get sick of the people who are like, Black people need to and don't talk about the fact that like the people going to the state houses, those are the white people. You know what I'm saying? So
100%.
the it's a whole lot of trans homophobia. All white people, corner the market on this bullshit. Okay, so
100%.
oh
But
yes,
we have to
I know that.
recognize
I
ways.
know you know that, but I'm
Yes.
just saying in
Yes.
the media and on
Yes.
social media, I just get sick of that narrative that it's like Black people are the only people who are homophobic and
No,
transphobic.
no. I just think we need to recognize the ways that anti-whiteness uses that as a vehicle to make Black people agents of white
Yes,
supremacy and anti-blackness. Okay,
yes,
that is a vehicle that makes you a pawn for the man. Okay, so
yes,
don't fall for no banana in your tailpipe on this
yes,
day the Lord has made,
yes.
because yes, all of that has its roots in the oppression and the whiteness that contains us all. But the ways that they pass it on to us is a part of the marketing that makes us complicit in our own demise. And we're not
Amen.
doing that no
Amen.
more.
No,
Hallelujah.
no. We need to get
Mhm.
free. We're gonna get free today.
We're gonna get free. But ain't none of us free until all of us free. And Harriet tried to tell y'all that. So don't be back
Mm-mm.
on the plantation snitching. Don't be trying to keep somebody else down. Don't do that.
Yeah. Mm.
Fight the good fight. Mhm.
Uh, what else you have on the docket?
Oh, speaking of docket, child. Speaking of hate against women, okay. We had a
We're not
high
gonna
point.
agree. We not gonna
Okay, well,
agree.
let me tell you, as a Black woman, as a lawyer, a high point for me this year was seeing Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, or Jackson, yeah, Ketanji Jackson, appointed as the 116th justice on the U.S. Supreme Court. The thought that we have been a nation all these years and we never had a Black woman occupy that seat.
Good.
Here's the thing though. I yes, but while the game is still being played, you want Clarence Thomas to be the only person there?
Look, is this mic working? Is my mic on? Let me be clear. Barack Obama didn't teach y'all asses nothing. Like that man single-handedly radicalized me. Okay? Like if Barack Obama it didn't teach me nothing, it's that being the first black anything ain't worth shit. I do not care. I would just as well have a white woman have this seat who is going to be the same leftist, milk toast, liberal person on the Supreme Court. I don't need a brown face associated with that bullshit. I don't need you, Katanji.
Okay, so yes, is there a white woman who has her policies? Yes, 100%. But I do think that there is something valuable that happens in our discourse and in our justice imagination when we see black people doing things that black people have historically not done in this country.
White people are emboldened to be more racist in their imagination. That is what happens.
I mean, yes, because they acted a fool at her confirmation hearing. 100%. 100%. Yes, but I still think that it is important for our justice imagination for us to see us doing things that they have shut us out of. Because Barack Obama is
Doing
not.
things to oppress us that the white
No,
people
but but
do.
but first of
No,
all,
thank
but I
you.
don't think that's fair because you are comparing Katanji to Barack Obama. And if you've listened, like I have listened to some of her questionings on the bench while she has been hearing oral arguments, and sis has been with the shit with these white people,
But
and I'm
Amber,
here
to
for it.
end. To what end? Like,
Well, of course,
what's the
no. Listen, we ain't gonna. One black person is never gonna save us. Okay, we're gonna talk about that later with Dion. Like we be looking for saviors when we be looking for people to tear it down. But it all has to happen concurrently. You have to have people working to tear it down, but you also have to have people who are about it, who are in it, while we gotta live in it. I'm not saying that. Listen, I'm no respectable Negro. I'm not saying that's all we need, but you got to do both at the same time. You got to have people fighting for revolution, but you need somebody in the room while the revolution is coming to fruition.
Well, I respect that opinion, and I'm just going to have to disagree with it.
Okay. Well, shout out to Justice Katanji. As a black woman, it blessed my heart, sis, to see you there.
At least say as a black lawyer. Don't say as
Yeah.
a black woman.
As a black woman lawyer. How about that?
Okay.
As a black
Okay.
woman lawyer.
Say that because then I don't have no position on that.
It blessed my heart to see you there. And listen, unfortunately, this is one time where we count Clarence. We normally don't do that around here, but this is the first time in the history of this country where there are more non-white male members of the Supreme Court. They are the minority on the court for the first time in history.
And to what end?
I mean, facts.
To what
Because
end?
we
It's
do have
just
to.
no. So the latest thing now is that the top 4 biggest cities. Okay, y'all see how bad.
I wasn't gonna say that because
Look, do you see how bad this shit look?
I
Send
wasn't
me
gonna
some
say
money so I can get my nails did.
I wasn't gonna say that. My shit glow in the dark. See, if you had left the lights off, you would have been able to see it.
Anyway, the top 4 biggest cities in the United States. So we have New York, we have LA, we have Chicago, we have Houston. Okay. The top 4 biggest cities in the United States of America. What do they all have, Amber? A
Black
black
mayors.
mayor. They all have a black mayor. And to what end? It don't matter.
You don't like Sister Lori?
And look, I need to give Karen a pass because Karen ain't even the mayor good yet. I don't even think Karen got sworn in yet.
Facts.
But anyway, it ain't gonna matter. I already know it ain't gonna matter. But no, Lori's suits are bad. And Lori ain't been a friend of nobody but the police. So no, ma'am.
Lori got thrown off track. I had hope for Lori.
Thrown off track. And see,
I don't let me I don't
the
mean it like
views
that.
expressed by Amber Sims are not those of Brokish.
I don't mean thrown off track. I meant like Lori. I think of Lori like how I think of LBJ. Like if Lori had done it the right way, Lori could have been really great. But Lori fell for the okie doke. But
No,
there was
they fell for the okie doke in voting for Lori. That's what happened. Anyway, we're not gonna do this today. We're not gonna do this today.
okay. Let's talk about something I think we both gonna agree on. What you think about Will and Chris? Because we rounded out we rounded out the verbal assault on Katanji, and that was followed up by Will Smith walking his black behind up to the stage at the Oscars and slapping all the nonsense out of Chris Rock after Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith in reference to her being G.I. Jane because her head was bald because she suffers from alopecia. So, what do you think about that?
Well, we actually talked about this a
We
little bit
did.
show where we had Whitney. We were talking to Whitney about it. So I actually, here's why I can't let these people disappoint me, and they're gonna disappoint you. So y'all stop letting them disappoint you. I was actually proud of Will Smith because I was like, yes, if I could, I'm over here trying to act like a white woman. I'm gonna be a damsel in distress, have somebody save my vulnerable ass. Like, yes, I was excited for it, and I was like, a man, and he loves his woman, and he's demonstrating that love in a very physical, visceral way. Like, I'm all for it, right? I was like, he should have punched him, like, but maybe a slap is more disrespectful. I'm all of that. But then here come Will disappointing me because now he on this apology tour.
Apology tour, yes.
Because this nugget, because I told y'all that's what my iPhone be auto correcting. Auto correcting too is nugget. So this nugget is going around because he trying to make the probably the $100 million he got is not enough, and he needs some more. So now he apologized because he want to keep making movies,
He want to
and
win the
now
Oscar.
I hate him all over again.
Same. I was
Look
I
at
was
us agreeing.
I was team Will. I was like, slap that ninja for talking about your wife, for
Yes,
embarrassing her, for making her the butt of a joke. Slap him
yes.
twice. But then when Will took his tail to the TV, I was going through things. That's not who I really am.
Well, that's a shame.
Exactly. I'm like, finally we see somebody from West Philadelphia born and raised. Okay.
Excellent.
I was happy to meet West Philadelphia Will Smith. And I agree. I am so disappointed that he has let the collective faux outrage of violent white people make him walk back his act of defending and protecting his black wife, who was very clearly bothered and humiliated and uncomfortable with being made the butt of a joke in a room full of her peers and on national TV. And I'm just like, Will, you ruined it for me.
Totally, totally. And I don't want to get on the internet and be one of those people talking about celebrities and stuff like in about. I honestly, if I'm being honest, I've always thought Will was a cornball, and this helped me not think he was a cornball. But now he's back to cornball for me. So,
He's worse than a cornball to me. He's a, just a coward, and I don't like it.
yeah, it's not the thing for me.
No. Well, speaking of cowards, I mean, I don't think we can talk about any more of a cowardly act than shooting children. In America, if I can think of any moment in the recent past where our nation has just really showed how depraved and how diabolical and how psychopathic we are, um, the shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde just had it for a moment. I lost hope. Like I really had to live out that scripture where I had to put my hope in Jesus because I don't have no more hope in people. I don't know how collectively you reconcile children who wake up and eat breakfast and put their clothes on, and their mamas and daddies yelling at them to hurry up and get out the door, and they go to school and they don't come home, and it's not because of a fire or a sudden death or illness, but because we are obsessed with guns, money, and power. And I just, to me,
That was the thing. That was the story of the year that took me down. I mean, even as you talk about it, I get emotional because when you hear just about the sheer number, and of course, the worst part about the story is the fact that the police who have no duty, right, who have no duty to protect didn't. And for them to have been there that long and let him cause that much death, and then to try to keep parents from going in, parents who are willing to say, just because you are a coward doesn't mean that I am, for them to hold people back from saving their children, that's just nasty business.
Yeah.
And even in the wake of all of it, it's the same cycle, right? Like thoughts and prayers. It's so sad. Let's get the community coming together. And then the other part that I really hate is how people blame the community, because then they want to be like, well, why does the community have the makeup of the city council that they do, and why do they have the officials that they have, and why do those brown people vote for these sorts of people, not taking into account all of the things that the folks in that particular community have to deal with, besides being over policed, with them not being able to fully live who they are for fear of what could happen. There's just so many things happening in the background, and it was, for me, that's like, yeah.
And I will just say this. I think that this was the first time I realized, because I was Sandy Hook was what, 12 years ago. And I remember being like hurt and just devastated, but I feel the residuals now. Like I get anxiety. Like when I pass schools and I see, like, sometimes when I'm working from home and I'll go get lunch and I see the kids at my kids' school, they're playing outside, it gives me anxiety. Like when I see children at schools, like outside, because I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, like if something happened right now, they're exposed. Like, and I wonder, like, how people are living in this world and not living with that every day. Like every time, every single time I see kids outside playing at a school, it gives me anxiety every
Well,
time.
I just feel like the same people who are fine to live in a world full of racism and harm and violence and, continue about their lives, also are not going to care about, like, this is, what's the difference? I
Yeah,
just um I just don't see that there is one. And it's just, this for me is just, again, this is one of the saddest stories for me of the year, as I consider everything. And my own kids had, there was a period after this where they were also very fearful about going to school, and then they ask all of these questions and I don't know how
yes,
to answer the questions. And I grew up in the 80s, so I we had the drills where they said the Russians were coming, right? And the alarms would go off and you would have to, um but it's different than the active shooter drills of today, and people locking themselves in rooms, and it's a very different thing, and they sort of grow up with this backdrop of
yes,
anticipating violence. And that's this country, right?
yeah,
Again, messing in
yeah,
other people's business and then wanting to, but in this case, this is just our own human rights abuses on full display.
yeah. And it's crazy because you think that these are once in a lifetime moments. And even now, as we
Mhm.
are recording this, we are less than 30 days from three additional shootings. Like it happens so much, you literally cannot even pause to collectively mourn. We had the shooting in Virginia on the campus of UVA that happened the first week of November, and it was followed a few
I'm
days
like, and
later.
that's not their first one, right? Like,
No, that's like the second one this decade, like in the last 10 years. It's like the second one. And then that's followed by the shooting at Club Q in Colorado, where 5 people are killed. And then that's followed like 3 days later by the killing at Walmart in Virginia, where 7 people are killed. And it's just sort of like,
and we didn't even talk about the Buffalo shooting, right?
no, no, any other place in the world, one of these things will bring a nation to its knees. And we just go from one massacre to the next, to the next, to the next. And we go to work and we go to the store and we go to our kids' sporting events like this is normal. And that is the part that I mourn the most, is that this is a part of our normal.
It
And it
is.
should not be. It should not be.
It shouldn't. And so, I guess to help lift people's spirits again, Amber, we're not going to agree. Beyonce came out with an album, and I was like, she did.
Okay, so let me tell you that I actually had the same response, believe it or not. And I love Beyonce. Y'all know, when I get these bundles, I be Beyonce on a budget. I like the album, but I think Beyonce is an example of somebody who is not aware of herself. Like and actually I don't even want to insult the lady like that because she probably is. But it's like, girl, how you out here talking about I just quit my job and you got people out here gassed up to quit their job and you telling people that while you at work in the studio, like, there's an alignment disconnection because you're not aligned with us. And we want you to be, but you not. You not. You not.
Here's all I have to say about Beyonce. Beyonce is another one of those people. I've seen her by herself and with Destiny's Child
Same.
probably 5 times, right? Like, so
Same.
I I appreciate the fact that I think that woman is a living legend. I cannot take that away from her. I don't Her music doesn't move me. I'm not a fan of hers, but I understand why people are fans of hers. It's just not for me. But again, the part that really makes me mad on a more serious level is, like you were sort of alluding to, she and her husband have this power to encourage people to do things that I think are harmful, and they continue to do that. And that's the part that takes it from entertainment, um, to something that's really nefarious. I
Yes,
don't know.
and I think it's because they believe that they are getting people to act in solidarity with them, but they are not in solidarity because you ain't doing the shit you telling people to do, right? Like it is easy for you to take money from people who mine diamonds out of South Africa, but you're talking about all the money you put into the community.
Right.
But
Does the whole Tiffany check go to the community, or
right, but
like,
come on, like Mufasa said, it's a circle of life, but I really do think there's a place in their hearts and minds where they really do believe that they are encouraging people to stand in
I don't.
solidarity.
I don't. They
And I
I
think,
think they are fully aware of their capitalist status.
you know what? I do think there is a place where wealthy Black people convince themselves that they are privileged, not capitalist. Like I do believe that if you talk, I do believe. I don't think there's a difference, but I think if you talk to them, they believe there's a difference. Because I have to tell you, because I got $2 more than I need to buy my groceries and pay my light bill. And even when I'm doing this work in myself, there is some shit I can sell myself about how I'm revolutionary. And it's like, but girl, you not.
But I keep telling you you're not. So,
But
like,
what I'm saying
I
is,
don't know.
I think it is easy for people who don't have an Erica, who don't have somebody say, girl, you know, bitch, log in your Fidelity account and shut up. Like, I think it is very easy for people to sell themselves on their own belief in the virtue of what
So
they're
you
doing.
think when Puffy says he's gonna save Black America, he believes it?
I do, girl. Do you have you? There's a video. I'm gonna send it to you when we get done,
Amber,
girl.
you can't be real. You
I
cannot
swear
be
to
real.
you, I believe they drink their own Kool-Aid because they're around other people just like them who make, and it's a virtue cycle. They all think they're virtuous, and they tell each other that. He has a charter school up in, I think it's the Bronx, and you ought to hear this man. He is walking around talking about how him starting this charter school, how he is saving Black Brooklynites or Bronx people wherever he is, how he is lifting people up, how he is changing generations. And girl, that man is talking from his heart. Like you can feel he is sincere, misguided as he may be. The man is sincere. He has sold himself on the virtue of his pursuit of white adjacency and capitalism. 100%. I 100% believe it.
I I just can't. I don't believe that they believe it. I think they have decided that this is the hustle, right? And these are the things I have to say. Um, and actually, now that I think about it, I don't know which one is sadder. If they do believe it or if they don't.
I think it's sadder that they do believe in the virtue of their own capitalism. Because if you nefarious, I mean, you just ain't shit. That ain't sad. That's a choice. But I do believe, like sincerely in my heart, that they believe that they are righteous, that they believe that they are aligned with the people and in solidarity with the people. I absolutely believe that. They believe that.
Okay. Okay. And we are getting close to the time that I actually have to go pick up my children from school. And I'm be late to go pick up my children from school.
No,
So
we're not gonna let that
two things,
happen.
two things I wanted to make sure that we talk about as we sort of round out the year. We're gonna ignore Yay because we had a whole episode on it. So y'all go watch, listen to the whole episode on Yay. That wasn't about Yay. But anyway, so two things. Um, Brittney Griner being released from prison in Russia, and your thoughts on that, and also Deion Sanders. Go.
I'm happy Brittany is home. In the words of the prophetess Olita Adams, I don't care how you get here, just get here when you can.
And
Okay, I don't care. And with Dion, I feel like we missing the forest for the trees. I think the issue is why are we underfunding HBCUs? Let that man go make his money. But this ain't Dion's scandal. What we need to be talking about is why Dion did them kids like that at prime prep. Okay.
uh-oh.
Um, okay, why he, started that charter school, all them kids that didn't graduate, them teachers that didn't get paid. Like Dion got enough stuff. This ain't no Dion stuff. This is systemic stuff. Okay, let's fund our HBCUs. Let's pay the people who work there comparatively to what we pay white people, and stop expecting one black person to save us out of an inequitable system and demand the equity that we deserve. That's how I feel about that.
And I agree with that, but for again, when you're talking about celebrities, Dion also traffics in that same language of how I'm coming here to help this community to bring visibility. So that nugget brought the community into the story. So
Facts,
if
facts.
he's bringing the community into the story, then he needs to be willing to accept some backlash from the community. But yeah, I don't think Dion is anything. He gonna go. He gonna make his money. That ain't no problem. The problem is you open your mouth and you say that you're here to save Black people, and I hate it.
Agreed. I actually agree with that. I actually agree with that. We need to stop peddling in black saviorism, period. Both the black saviors and the people who expect black saviors. 100% agree.
Okay. And Brittany, this is what I got to say about Brittany. I'm also happy that Brittany is home. I'm happy when anybody gets let out of whatever unjust system they've been in. So happy for Brittany. But here's what I don't like. So I have a friend who listens to the show. So I'm gonna see if she's listening because I'm talking to you. Um, and her first message was, well, Joe Biden is better than me because based on what Victor Boot did, I probably wouldn't have let none of y'all, I wouldn't have let Brittany out. I wouldn't have let none of y'all out. Okay. And then she follows that up by sending this clip from CBS News. It was like 60 Minutes or something. There was a man from the DEA who was talking about how terrible Victor Boot is. He is a war criminal. He is an arms trafficker. And I'm like, first of all, there is no bigger arms trafficker. There is no bigger terrorist than these United States of America.
Preach the sermon.
Okay. There is no bigger one.
Preach the
Okay.
sermon.
In addition to that, as I said before, if Victor Boot is an arms dealer, his competitor was this nation. They probably mad. Okay.
And they was dealing to the same people. He was in for dealing to the Taliban in Afghanistan. We did it. We did it.
And then get mad when, again, those people have weapons that they then want to turn against us. Then we
Come
mad
on.
all of a sudden.
Come on.
Okay. And I'm just like, and I was watching something and Nikki Giovanni was on there and she was talking about one thing she said was like, don't ask somebody that hates you if you beautiful. We asking the DEA who the bad guys are? Y'all doing that? Like, it don't make sense, Amber. Okay.
I agree.
And again, disclaimer, I'm not saying that Victor Boot is a stand-up guy. I'm not saying that arms dealing is the business, but I'm just saying, oh, the audacity.
Oh, on sale with a coupon. With a coupon.
Indeed. Indeed. So, but glad Brittany's home.
Amen. Amen. Yes. All the love and light in the world to sis Brittany. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. So, hope she can get some rest for this holiday season. As we are entering into the holiday season, Amber, I'm sure you don't have any homework.
No, y'all, we finna go to therapy. That's what this is. Okay. We Listen, the homework is get you a therapist. Okay. If you ain't got a therapist, get you a therapist. And if you can't afford a therapist, DM
You look like you was about to say, and this episode of Brokish is sponsored
us.
by
No,
insert therapy
no,
company that's probably shady.
we gonna send the links out where therapy for Black women and the links where they help and connect people who don't have insurance or who are
Oh,
underinsured. Huh?
you got some links for that?
Yeah, I seen them. I seen them on Instagram because I sent one to my
Oh
crazy
Lord.
auntie.
Oh
Yeah,
Lord. Okay, just make sure you vet the
but
stuff, but
I did.
okay.
It's legit. Now
Okay.
depending on your zip code, they may or may not be able to help you. But it is a search by zip code, and it's resources, community centers that help you partner with therapists who are doing volunteer work, or that help you to get connected with centers that offer resources for free. So yes, we all need to keep our minds right because we still got a lot of work to do. So ain't no
Look,
homework.
there's no homework. And Amber, the reason why we have so much work to do is because there is so much going on. There is
Hallelujah.
so much trauma. There is so much that gets piled on us. And we don't ever, or it's hard for us to take time to reflect. It's hard for us to take time and take inventory. And to some degree, it's sad, but it's true just to be grateful that we made it, because there are so many in our community and other communities who did not make it. And one of the reasons that we were able to make it is because of community. And so, Amber, you talk about the group project, and here at Brokish, for sure, this is absolutely a group project. We are together with you. We are living and learning out loud. And so, as we think about and move into this new year, let's think about how we can be better, how we can be better in our community. Let's think about how we can take better care of ourselves, our families. And let's think about how we can like burn this shit down faster, maybe. Like, I don't know. So thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to catching up with you on the next episode of Brokish.
Slay.
All right, good people. Thanks for listening to Brokish. For more episodes, visit us at brokish.com or subscribe, and Brokish will get direct deposited into your favorite podcast app on the 1st and 15th. Share Brokish with your friends and join the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Music for Brokish is Come Get Some by Blank and Kit. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.
They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You can play any and every position. Coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And oh my goodness, I see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you, but what you got to do is you got to shake them off and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today. Yeah.